Hello everyone and welcome back to my safe space. I hope you're all doing okay and that quarantine isn't too bad for everyone, and I hope everyone is feeling hopeful and positive still. As you can see, I've got a slightly different background today than usual because the balloons finally had their time. The time was up and I've had to make a new background, so hopefully this is just as nice. So today's video is all about body positivity, body confidence and self-love and my journey with that and how I achieved it. I'll start off by just giving you a little bit of context behind my journey with self-love. So growing up, I was never 100% confident in my body. I was always a confident person within myself, but I never felt 100% body confident. And as I entered my early teenage years, my self-love went down as well. And obviously lack of body confidence or lack of self-love can be really detrimental to our mental health and also just to the way we view life and our goals and our self-worth. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about how I went from being not very body confident and not having a lot of self-love to being completely happy and content with who I am and completely worthy of my goals. I will just say before I get started on the video that I will be talking a lot about body image and things like that, so if you're vulnerable to topics of those nature, just bear that in mind. So as I mentioned before, there's been quite a few periods in my life where I haven't felt 100% confident in my body and I felt like it should have changed. So around the ages of 11 or 12, that period, kind of a transition between primary school to high school, I started not feeling 100% happy with my body and I started thinking I wish it looked different, I wish I looked more like other people, and I used to feel uncomfortable in quite a lot of clothes and I wouldn't feel very pretty. I would always sort of think that other girls or other boys were prettier than me, and there's one photograph of me in particular that really did make me want to do this video because I remember the day exactly. I was in year 7, it's the transition between year 7 and year 8 that summer, so I think I was 12, I think that's the right age, and I went to visit my uncle with my grandma. And I remember my uncle had a few horses and my uncle asked my grandma and I if we wanted to go on the horses, and I remember thinking at the time, I can't go on the horse because I felt like I was too big and that I just shouldn't be horse riding. And I forgot all about that day completely until recently my dad showed me a photograph of me and my grandma that was taken on that day. And when I look back with the eyes and the knowledge that I have now, I actually do find it really sad because I saw myself as a 12-year-old girl, I saw myself as so disproportionate to how I actually was. And I genuinely believe that a lot of that comes from being influenced by social media at that age. So before I get into my self-love tips and everything that I use now to feel good and healthy about myself, I'm just going to share a few social media pages that I wish I followed at that age, which I genuinely believe if I had have followed, I wouldn't have seen myself in such a different way to how I actually looked. And I do know from the comment sections and stuff that quite a few of my viewers are young people, so I'm telling that little story before I get into my tips and tricks, and I'm sharing these Instagram accounts so that if you are a young person you can follow these and hopefully it will bring a little bit of reality into your Instagram feed and just make you feel a little bit more happy and confident. So the first Instagram page is @BodyPosiPanda. Now this is an amazing Instagrammer. She's called Megan. She just fills me, and I know a lot of other people because she has a lot of following and she's done tours and she has a book. She's just so joyful. She fills me with so much joy, and she's really influenced me and the way I think about my body and the way I perceive my body image. The second account is the BBC Body Positive account. I can't remember the name 100%, so I'll put it here, but it just shares other accounts that are about body positivity. It shares little cartoons and quotes and things to just bring you back down to earth and make you see a little bit of normality and reality again and just make you feel hopefully a little bit better. And the third account is one that I didn't follow until last year, and I'm so glad I follow it now. It's Florence Given. She's called Florence Given on Instagram, and she doesn't directly talk about body positivity and self-worth, but she often talks about how the patriarchy and about how capitalism have warped our view of beauty and how the things that we don't like about ourselves are actually just a reflection of what we're taught not to like. So that has actually given me a lot more confidence in myself, and it has given me a much better view about myself indirectly, because obviously it's not directly talking about body positivity and self-worth, but I think just topics like that being brought to light has helped me, because it just makes you feel a little bit less like the things that you don't like about yourself are your fault. So that's a little tiny insight into why I'm doing this video and what sort of made me realise that we don't always view our bodies the way that they actually are and the way that we deserve to view them. And I guess it also leads into my first tip, which is use social media in a positive way. Now, I actually think social media is an amazing place. I think it teaches us so much and it connects us, and I just think it's all around brilliant. But I would say that if you are vulnerable to people influencing the way you perceive yourself, which a lot of us are, particularly at a young age and particularly if you're a girl, it's really difficult to filter out Instagram accounts that are going to make you feel bad about yourself and add in Instagram accounts that are going to make you feel good about yourself. And for me, I didn't really realise that Instagram could be a place where, or not even just Instagram, any sort of social media platform where you can post images and videos and stuff like that. I never realised that that could be a place that would influence me in a negative way about my perception of myself, until one day I was just scrolling through my feed on Instagram and I realised that every post was either somebody promoting an unattainable and unhealthy way of living in order to attain a specific body type, or it would be memes or jokes about feeling worthless and comparing ourselves to other people. And I know that memes are set out to be funny, and they often are, but I think sometimes they verge on not being healthy, because as a young person or even as a slightly older person, if you're scrolling through a feed and it's either a fitness account, someone promoting an unhealthy way of living, like certain diet plans that get promoted on Instagram, or like a meme that makes you feel like it's okay to feel worthless just because you don't look like certain people, that's not healthy. And my feed did become like that. I don't know why I ended up following so many people that taught me that I should only drink smoothies for like breakfast, lunch and dinner for 12 days and I'd feel great and I'd look great, because none of it's actually true. And I'm not trying to say it's bad if you do follow these accounts, because it doesn't affect everyone in the same way, but I just think it's really important to remember that things we see online and things we see anywhere can have more of an impact on us than we are realising at the time. And if you do follow accounts that sort of promote a certain body type, it's important to also balance it out with accounts that tell you that it doesn't matter if you have bad days and good days, and it doesn't matter if how you look isn't the same as how people on Instagram look, because then it just makes sure that you've got a nice, healthy and happy balance, and you're not being slowly warped into one way of thinking that isn't going to be healthy for you. And I'm also by no means slandering fitness accounts when they are for fitness, if that makes sense. I don't have a single problem with people who work hard and share their progress and share their fitness journey. I think that's amazing, and I think it's if you're doing something that makes you feel healthy and makes you feel happy, it's great. And I think it's nice to share it, because we like to see our own progress, we like to be able to see it on display somewhere. A lot of the time it's just human nature, and we also like to inspire people. So I don't have a single problem with things like that. I'm just trying to remind people that there are ways of balancing it, and there are ways of aspiring to get fitter and healthier, whilst also remembering that it's okay if you need a bit of chocolate, and it's not detrimental to your personality or your worth or anything if you don't look a certain way. So yeah, that's my first point, just making sure that who we follow and who we see every day on social media is going to have a positive impact on our life and our worth. The second tip is positive affirmations, and I've mentioned this in another video in terms of controlling anxiety and depression and sadness and mood swings and things like that, but I think it really works well in terms of gaining self-love and body confidence as well, because if I'm having one of those days where I just feel a little bit rubbish about myself, just feel a little bit gross or just not comfy and not as happy and worthy as I do other days. I think if I take the time to give myself a little hug, just give myself a squeeze and just say to myself that I am worthy, I'm loved, I'm beautiful in so many ways, and I am important no matter how I look, it does make me feel a lot better. And I'm not going to pretend that that's an easy thing to do, especially at first, because it does feel a bit different, it feels a bit foreign to sort of tell ourselves that we're amazing and we're valuable and we're special no matter how we look, because that's not often the message that Instagram and other social media platforms portray, or I think more and more they do, but especially a few years ago I don't think we were reminded of that enough. So yeah, it could feel a little bit bizarre at first just to sort of give yourself a hug and give yourself loving words, but once you get used to it, it really becomes a nice habit, and it really becomes something that can just boost your mood and bring you back down to earth and remind yourself that you are so important. I am aware that the lighting and stuff keeps on changing because the sun's going down, but we're just going to try and work with it. So yeah, after using social media in a positive way and giving yourself a hug and some positive affirmations, my next point is quite a weird one, but it's probably the thing that did me the most good. And I actually got this kind of tip from Florence Given's Instagram account. And it's basically just a dance. Just dance around your room and put on your favourite songs and don't care at all what's going on other than the moment. Just think about you in the moment, you enjoying the dance, you enjoying your favourite music. And I don't know how, but for me it always just makes me feel a little bit like I deserve love. I feel happy and I feel like I love myself, and it really reconnects me with myself and just makes me feel so much better. And if I feel a little bit like I've had a day where I've not been too kind to myself and I just don't feel great, I feel like as soon as I start dancing and as soon as I put on a music that makes me feel confident and positive, it really helps me to just think, you know what, no matter what I look like or how I feel about myself, I'll be able to dance and I'll be able to enjoy music and enjoy little things. And even if it's not dancing, even if it's just doing something that you love, I think that can really help to take your mind away from your body and just increase the love that you have for yourself, because you're always going to be able to do that thing that you love despite how you look and how you sort of perceive how you look. You'll always be able to have a little dance around your room, you'll always be able to get engrossed in a book, and it just shows you over time, or it did show me over time, that looking a certain way isn't everything. You can still have fun, you can still enjoy things, and you can still feel connected with yourself. And for me that really helped me get out of a rut of self-loathing and really helped boost my mood and boost the time I have for myself and the positive energies that I have around myself. And yeah, I just think it sounds really random because I don't feel like it sounds like it would link to making you feel like you love your body and you love your image and everything like that, but for me it really did. It just made me step back and think, no matter how I look, no matter how I believe people think I look, I'll always be able to have a nice time. I'll always be able to sort of treat myself to a little dance or treat myself to something I love, and it really reinstalls the worth that you should have inside yourself that I think a lot of us are tricked out of. I really don't want to come across ignorant to the fact that it's a lot harder for some people to sort of retrain their mind and retrain their brain into self-love than it was for me, and it is for some people, because I know in a lot of people's minds they wish it was sort of as easy as having a little dance and stuff like that. So I hope that doesn't come across as ignorant, but I'm just sharing my personal experience with self-growth and self-worth, and I'm hoping that it helps some people. So yeah, I just wanted to interject and say that I know it's not easy for everyone, but yeah, this is what's helped me. The fourth thing that really helped me was reminding myself of all the things about me that aren't defined by how I look. So for example, like your work ethic or your sense of humour, how caring you are, how loving you are, how loved you are, none of that's defined by like your weight or your image or anything like that. That's defined by you as a person, and that's the only thing that's really important. We don't need to be defined by the way we perceive ourselves and the way we trick ourselves into believing that other people perceive us. We should try and redefine ourselves as the amazing things about us that aren't physical. So I think congratulating yourselves on the little things that aren't physical and celebrating the aspects of your personality that you love the most is also a really important way of boosting your self-worth, boosting your self-love, and decreasing issues with body confidence, because it reminds you that you're not defined or determined by the way that you look. Another thing that links with this that really bugs me is when people use the phrase fat to describe someone, because a person isn't fat. Like, they have fat on their body, but like we have hair, we have nails, we have eyes, nose, mouth, we have so many things, and we're not described as that. We're not called like an eye or something, and it just shows how much, if we have fat on our bodies, people try and make that the whole person. They try and define them as that, but they're not. They just have fat, and we have so much other things as well that are so much more worth noting, but for some reason they're just not. Yeah, I think for me that's an essential part of redefining your worth. So that comes under sort of my fourth tip. And my fifth and final tip for boosting self-worth and self-love and minimising as much as possible self-loathing is to be completely honest and open in who you are, and to try as far as possible to express that in like your clothes, your style and stuff like that. I think that the world that we live in now is so connected. We can see a trend and then the next day there can be a new one, and I think we believe we have to keep up with them a lot of the time. We believe that each trend that comes is sort of something that we should be a part of. And for me, I think coming to terms with the fact that not everything I see on sort of big companies and on big Instagrammers is something that will suit my personality, suit my body and make me feel good about myself. And I think if a lot of people buy the same sort of dress or same item of clothing and all look similar in it, and then we buy it ourselves and don't look how they look, it kind of makes you feel like you're wrong. That's wrong of you, but it's not. We can just find different ways to express ourselves. You have no less value or worth or reason to love yourself if you don't feel like a particular trend or a particular item of clothing looks different on you than it does on a lot of people. And I think for me, realising that and coming to terms with it really helped me, because I would just avoid having that expectation of myself, and instead I would dress in things that made me feel nice and made me feel not only pretty but also made me feel like it expressed what I have to give from the inside as well. That is really what is the most important thing about you. So yeah, that's my tip number 5. Don't feel the need to dress a certain way or follow a certain trend if that's not going to make you feel like you've truly expressed yourself, or you feel truly comfortable and happy and lovely in what you're wearing. I think that's about it for all my tips on this topic so far, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and my levels of self-worth and self-confidence still change all the time, sometimes daily. So it is still a journey, and I will hopefully keep learning and keep finding ways to better my opinions of myself. So as I learn, I'll keep sharing what I've learned and hopefully keep helping at least a couple of people feel a little bit happier and hopefully boost self-worth all around. I know this is quite a sensitive topic, so I really hope I haven't been ignorant in any part of this video. I've just really tried to be honest, and I have been completely honest in what's helped me and where I learnt it. And yeah, I really do hope it's helpful to someone out there at least, because that's what I make these videos for. So yeah, fingers crossed. and I really hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please feel free to like it, and I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe if you haven't and you've enjoyed this video, because that makes me feel like people want to see it more. So yeah, thank you so much for watching as always. I do really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!